How we doing? This is Mike, and I'm joined by Mike today, and we are Why Not Us? And Mike, why not us?
Mike, glad to be here. It's a great question, a simple question, a question we ask ourselves almost every single day, and a perfect name for our podcast. Why
It's
not us?
perfect. It's perfect, and it's great to have you here. It's great to start this journey with you, and it came this journey from the question, why not us? Yes, podcasts are overused. There's way too many. Frankly, most of them suck, but we realize that we are better than most. Some would say top five, some would say clutch. Thus, we're here today starting our own podcast. And the premise, I think, will be mostly based on our bad gambling, how we lose together, but how one of us eventually has to win because of our Cowboy-Eagles rivalry, our Philly sports, and New York rivalry.
Yeah, I think there's really no one else that I'd rather be doing this with. I think, like you touched on, I watch podcasts or clips of them on Instagram, and I'm like, these guys suck. I am so much more interesting than all of these people.
Right.
There's a few of them that are good, but the majority of them, they're all famous, and I'm like, I'm cooler than you. I think
Yeah,
our niche, in a way, is going to be our Cowboys-Eagles rivalry. Luckily, someone has to win the game. Um, so one of us will be victorious. One of us will end up crying at the end of the season. Um, I'm just really excited to see where this goes. Two interesting people with similar habits, just talking shop.
similar habits, and yeah, I mean, we came to the realization like, wow, we have the most idiotic conversations of all time. This gets really funny sometimes, at least to ours, so let's see if the rest of the world likes it. Probably not, but it's what we expect. um
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe,
I mean,
maybe.
it's pretty much like I envision this being like if we had a conversation once a week after a
Right.
weekend full of college football and NFL. This is pretty much exactly what we would be talking about,
Hmm.
except now the rest of the world gets to hear it.
Absolutely. And they get to hear a very dumbed down version from two people that probably get annoying after a while, but we think we're the most entertaining people on the planet. Um, and really, the biggest hurdle for us starting the podcast was getting out of one of those habits we share, which is being bums. Me and Mike really were the best bums you could find on the planet. We had our college routine down to a T. It involved gambling, it involved bongs, it involved mm, nothing productive in the matter. And
No,
look at
but we were
us.
damn good at it though.
So good.
I mean, we got college degrees. We made it through. I pretty much think we maximized how much fun and enjoyment we could have had.
Right.
Um, and I think I took a lot of those habits to the real world. I thought like, oh, real world, gonna have to like step my game up. Like, yeah, sure, I am, but like, didn't have work today on a Monday. Sat around, worked out, went
Right.
sat by the pool. Like, I still get to bum. It's awesome.
You found a job that replicated your best habits, which is bumming. I I I don't have the luxury of bumming at work. However, my only priority outside of work is bumming, and I'm still really good at it.
Yeah, I think the fact that we can't do it 24/7 makes it
Hmm.
that much more special when you can finally sit down on a Sunday and not do anything
Right.
besides watch football. And that's great.
Yeah, and we have one small chore after, and it's hopping on and literally talking, and then figuring out how to post it and doing the social media and stuff. But we we got this.
That'll take care of itself.
Yeah, it'll take care of itself. We're excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to have regular segments. We're going to do bets of the week. We're going to have you guys follow how bad of gamblers we really are, especially when we're on the same bets. We have a great tradition of betting on the Packers every Thursday night football. And one other thing that me and Mike share along with bad bets is he attested to it. We went to college together at the University of Florida. It's where we get to bring our fandoms together, since they're so contentious most of the time. And turns out that's just as depressing as the other ones, Mike.
Yeah, one common theme within pretty much every sports team that I root for is big market, high hopes going into the season, lots of potential. and the only way is down from there. And always inevitably those teams end up failing, letting me down, proving that it was always false hope. The Gators are very similar in that aspect. Um, they've had great years in the past. Recently, they've been in sort of this awkward middle stage where they can't get over that hump. But every year it's like, oh, we're going to be better. We're going to be great. And then they let me down just like every other team.
Yeah, yeah, they do, and it was weird for us because it felt like Florida's always good and they're always at the top, but like our day to day going to games, I feel like we saw more losses than wins. We haven't really gotten the big celebrations. I mean, our time at Florida, we didn't have the best football teams. We didn't have the best basketball teams. We had some okay baseball teams, and it felt like right after baseball popped off, basketball has a bright future. Who knows what's going to go with Philly football. Actually, yeah, Philly Cowboys. Let's talk about another team that you have really high expectations for every year. And I just want to get your general sentiment, and we'll get into our predictions next episode. But the world needs to know the type of Cowboys fan you are now versus the type of Cowboys fan you are in January when they lose in the playoffs. And ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Delusional Cowboy Mike. Take it away.
Hey, I mean, I think delusional is an unfortunate yet pretty accurate word to describe my fandom. I would argue I'm one of the biggest Cowboys fans out there. I am ride or die, no matter what anyone says. I grew up in New Jersey, in between Philly and New York. All my friends were Giants and Eagles fans. The Giants won 2 Super Bowls. The Eagles were always competitive. The Cowboys didn't do shit. I never wavered in my fandom. I've taken the bunt end of a lot of jokes. As far as this season goes, there's definitely a part of me that is afraid that it's looking like every other season. Um, Same coach, same GM and owner, same quarterback. We never do anything in the off season. Um,
What
I
else?
and
Keep going.
yeah, I'm gonna keep going because the season hasn't started yet, so no one's
Hmm.
done anything wrong. Every
Right.
team is 0-0. Every team
Hmm.
has a fair shot at this thing. Um,
Let me
just a
ask you.
quick, yeah.
Just quick question. I want you to keep going on your story, but I feel like every year you come into a new Cowboy season, and yes, we all know it's the same, but you have one thing to cling on to that makes it different. I want to know what it is this year, and if you don't have an answer to the question, I might be able to help you out.
Okay, so this is sort of where I was going.
Okay.
Sure, we didn't make a lot of moves in the off season. Nothing stuck out. We weren't all
Hmm.
over social media. I
Hmm.
like that. We're
Okay.
always the face of everything. You got Stephen A. Smith chirping our ear off. Like everyone's always talking about Jerry Jones and whatever. Sure, everyone's talking about CeeDee Lamb getting a contract. He's gonna get a contract. Don't worry about it. I love Dak Prescott playing on a contract year without a contract. He's got something to prove. He's been in this system for years. He knows how to play in Dallas. I like this offense. I like Brandon Cooks. I like Jake Ferguson. Do I love our running backs? No, but have we ever really had elite running backs since like the first year of Ezekiel Elliott? No. So whatever. Bring back Zeke.
Yep.
Why not? And Rico Dowdle behind him, I mean, a lot is going to rely on the passing game. We've still got a solid offensive line. I think the fact that we've kept things so consistent from last year is a really good thing. And I think the fact that we're not the favorite in the division, the fact that everyone thinks we're going to fall back, I love being the underdog. I mean,
Sure.
if we don't collapse in a playoff game against the Packers where Mike McCarthy switched up his whole play calling strategy and ran a completely new offense. If we run a normal offense and a normal game plan, we win that game. We go on to the next round. You never know.
No.
I think we're better than last year.
Okay. You think you're better than last year. I think the only argument you could have to say that you're better than last year is that
Let's hear it.
I think this is the first year in like 10 decade, how many ever years that a Cowboys defensive lineman has not got arrested during training camp. Now, fingers crossed, but like that's a plus, dude. I think that was the trend right there. Um,
Yeah, I mean, you got to break the cycle somehow. We did have an amazing fucking routine
Yeah,
of two of these random borderline players that might make the team, might
right.
not, getting arrested,
It was
smoking
incredible.
pot.
It was really
E-
amazing. And it was like
every
every
year.
random Tuesday in the off season, I'd get like a notification that Demarcus Lawrence or who was the like actual convict? Was it not Greg? It was you know what I'm talking about? Like
Well,
2015.
Greg,
Greg
whatever his name is,
Hardy?
who
Is it
then
Greg
Greg
Hardy?
Hardy, who became
Greg
a
Hardy.
UFC fighter
Yes.
afterwards.
Yeah, but that guy was an actual
Um,
like felon.
yeah, not a good
Ra-
guy.
Randy Gregory had like one every two off seasons.
Well,
Yeah.
Randy Gregory left. There was another guy, I'm not going to remember his name, defensive tackle, who
Mm.
like 2 straight years smoked pot
Hmm.
and missed 4 games.
Mm.
Ended up just dropping out of the league and started a marijuana business. He was
Good
like,
for
fuck
that
this.
guy. He's like Dallas Cowboys, they're not going anywhere. Weed is my love. And I don't blame
Yeah,
the guy. I don't blame it at all.
he found his passion. Good for
I
him.
guess. Yeah, I guess he did. The popular subject of the Cowboys as of late, Mike, has been CeeDee Lamb has been very popular going one of one in fantasy football drafts. What are your thoughts on this? Are you personally going to take him one of one? Me personally, if you were asking, um, I don't want to take him one of one. He just
Shocking.
he doesn't feel like a one-on-one guy for me. It's got to be CMC or Tyreek Hill. He just doesn't scream first overall. But my take, your take.
I'm not going to lie. I love CeeDee Lamb. I think he is the best receiver in the NFL as far as if I'm building a football team around him. As far as fantasy goes, I think with the 1-1, Christian McCaffrey is a no-brainer. I think that there's a little bit of worry. I would never want the 1-1. Like the last like 10 years or something, the guy who like gets picked number one overall doesn't even finish in the top 10 or something like that. I think Christian McCaffrey is the type of guy that could break that.
Mm.
Um, After that, I think you have to go with Tyreek Hill. I love CeeDee Lamb. I love Justin Jefferson. I really like Amon Ra, who I think I would take over Jamar Chase.
Mm.
Um,
I'm a big Chase guy. Always have been.
he's a
I
boomer
don't
bust kind of guy.
I don't know if he is, dude. Like, I mean, is T even? Did he get his contract this offseason?
He got his contract, I
Okay,
believe.
so now Jamar's on the contract year, dude. He's gonna pop off.
Yeah, I mean, there's questions about that O line still. There's questions about the health of him and Joe Burrow.
Mm. Yeah, I know. I see it. It's just, man, that when that connection's on, it's I think the best in the NFL.
It's
I
special.
It's really awesome. It doesn't make sense because he's not like a flashy receiver like Justin Jefferson or Tyreek with the speed or CD with the route running. He's kind of just good at everything, and it's not like he's beating guys by 10 steps down the field. Like every pass coming from Joe Burrow looks perfect, and their timing is just it's beautiful. I love when those two are on.
Yeah, just to piggyback, like you said, we're not getting into bets, so I'll save
No,
this
no,
for
no.
next week.
What?
But
I love betting.
I love Joe Burrow.
Hmm. Yeah, no, you just want to talk about Joey B for a bit,
Just a little bit.
just a little
I
bit.
I
Let's
could
touch
go
on it.
on for a lot longer
Oh
next
yeah.
week,
Oh yeah.
but
Big Joey B guy.
I love Joe Burrow. I was actually working the Ravens Bengals
Hmm.
game Thursday night in
Hmm.
Baltimore when he got injured, and I mean,
Hmm.
that was just terrible to see. But
Hmm.
I think he's coming back.
Hmm.
He's going to be a menace, and I like him to win the MVP. I'll make that
Yeah,
statement.
no, I like MVP Burrow too. I think it makes a lot of sense. I also love Jalen Hurts to win the MVP. Not biased at all. I actually think he's just gonna have a monster year. We'll get to
Not
my Jalen Hurts
biased.
take. I actually want to segue this into something else
Go
because we're,
ahead.
we're talking about Joe Burrow, and he's one of our favorite, as you say, new era quarterbacks. And you actually were the one that brought me this theory of how we were out with the old guard and in with the new guard. Which it's your Peyton Mannings, your Tom Brady's, your Drew Breeses, Philip Rivers, Eli Mannings, Benny B's, Benny Roethlisberger's, not Benny B's, uh, to the Joey Burrows, the Pat Mahomes, the Josh Allens, the Justin Herberts, Jalen Hurtses of the world. And I want to ask you this question because we both really like Joe Burrow. But I want to know, out of the old guard, who was the quarterback you gravitated to the most? It doesn't have to be who you think was the best, but just you as a football fan, which one of those guys were you like, that's my guy?
Cool. That's a great question. Um, the first name that pops into my mind is Drew Brees.
Okay.
I just love that the Saints were never the sexiest team, never the best team, never had the greatest offense,
Hmm.
but he was so gritty. He's a smaller guy that stood in the pocket, took those hits, made insane throws.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's similar to, not that I want to bring this back to the Cowboys, but similar to a Tony Romo-esque guy. I'll give the nod to Drew Brees on who had a better career, clearly. But that I just loved the grit out of that guy.
You
He
think
was
those two are
never,
similar?
I think,
I could
in
see
a
grit.
way,
Yeah, I could see grit and
yeah.
character, but as far as quarterbacks, like Tony, I always thought was like this guy that could give you like four insane passes a game and obviously some picks, and Drew Brees just felt like he was just always making the right decisions, and they were quick ones.
Yeah, I think that's why Drew Brees is probably a top five quarterback of all time, maybe
Yeah,
top 10 for sure. And Tony
10.
Romo never won a Super Bowl. So,
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah. I'd love to talk about Tony Romo one episode. Just go. Let's do an episode dedicated to Tony Romo and Donovan McNabb. I'm so in on that.
oh, I love that one.
Okay, great.
We have unlimited content. Like,
We have a lot. We have a lot. It's not necessarily the content that people want, but it's what we're going to talk about. So
it's the content we like, and they're going to
yeah.
listen to it.
Segue. I could see Drew Brees and Joe Burrow. I mean, you know, taking race out of this, they're just no. But yeah, they have the same demeanor and grit and like, attitude. I'd say. I don't think Joe Burrow's as family friendly, but he'll find a good wife at some point and settle down. He's more of the bad boy persona right now, but I'd say those two fit decently well. I don't think I would really choose another person from the old guard to fit Joe Burrow over Drew Brees.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Mm. Yeah, it came
Maybe
at
like a
you out of the blue here.
maybe like a Philip Rivers kind of like.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
like that comparison.
Mm-hmm. I think
He's got
he
a little more
fits
swag, you know?
right, right. He does have a little bit more. Is he more Justin Herbert, or am I just thinking teams there? I don't know. But yeah, Drew Brees, Joe Burrow. I like it. Who did I gravitate out of those guys? I mean, can I say Aaron Rodgers? Is
Yeah,
that
he's old
allowed?
guard. I was gonna
I
say he's the last left.
Cool. I'm actually going to introduce myself to this podcast. Like I'm one of the biggest Aaron Rodgers guys out there. I think he is the most talented football thrower of all time. I think Tom Brady has the best resume. I think Patrick Mahomes, you could argue, is like the best quarterback of all time just on what we've seen on tape. I just love Aaron Rodgers. He's my favorite quarterback I've ever watched. I don't know. You just have to feel it with guys, and I can go into what he does and whatnot. But man, he's just a commanding quarterback, and I'd love if he was on my team at any point. Um, yeah,
He's a
so Aaron
great
Rodgers,
quarterback.
yeah, he's definitely like old guard guy, but new guard guy, I'd also gravitate to Joe Burrow. Um, but I actually want to take your Drew Brees point and um, pivot on my new guard guy pick. And for the sake of the conversation, I'll say my old guard guy is Drew Brees.
Sure.
And my new guard guy for NFL MVP, most touchdowns from a rookie quarterback of all time. The man, the best quarterback in the 2024 NFL draft, my guy, Bo Nix. Bo Nix. Bo Nix. I'm all over the Bo Nix talk. This was before he started playing good in the preseason. I just feel it. I feel the aura coming off of Bo Nix. Maybe it was because we saw probably the greatest win of our Florida career against Bo Nix our freshman year. And we've liked him ever since. But I'm a big Bo Nix guy. I think he has the system for him with Drew Brees. I mean, not Drew Brees, with Sean Payton, who coached Drew Brees. I think you can draw a lot of similarities there. He's a decision maker. He's athletic. He can move around the pocket. He's not going to take a lot of sacks. that O-line's bad, but he can compensate. He's a mature quarterback. He's coming in as a rookie, but he's more mature than people know. A lot of starting experience. The one red flag I had with Bo Nix, and I think honestly the major reason he became the quarterback he was as far as tiers in this most recent draft, was because Michael Penix outplayed him for 2 games, and rightfully so. He played out of his mind those 2 games, the whole season. I'm a big Michael Penix guy too, but Bo Nix, NFL, I just like it, and I'm all in on it. The value's there right now. Maybe not MVP. I love the offensive rookie of the year value. I think it's like plus 1,600. Mike, what are your thoughts on Bo Nix?
I think he's a likable guy. I'm gonna
Yeah.
try and tame your expectations a little bit,
Okay.
even though I know that's not possible.
Mm-mm.
Um, you said he's mature. Yeah, he started in college for a lot more than a lot of other guys. He played for two different very prestigious schools. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he seems like a guy that's a little too aggressive. I think where he fell into mistakes were late in the game or even early in a game, trying to force a pass a little bit and throwing a pick, trying to hang in the pocket a little bit and taking a sack, fumbling the ball, something like that. Can he mature and be okay
Yeah.
checking the ball down, even though that means you're going three and out because the rest of that offense is dog shit? Like, are you okay punting the ball instead of throwing a pick? These are things all rookies need to learn.
Yeah.
I think there are other guys in the league that are much better at it. There are some
Yeah.
guys that never learned. The Phillip Rivers and the Tony Romos never learned. Those
No.
were the most exciting, aggressive quarterbacks ever, and that's why we love to watch them. But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, that's why they never won anything, is because they were too aggressive.
Yeah. And
I think that's a major red flag for this guy. I'm excited about him. I'd love to root for him. Do I think he can win Rookie of the Year? Probably not.
I think he's gonna. I actually like am confident about it. I just feel it, dude. But those things that you were just attesting to. Well, one, he got way better at it throughout his college career. I think you're referring to Auburn, Bo Nix. We saw that guy make a lot of mistakes. Oregon, he was checked down Nancy. He made the right decisions, and that's actually what people kind of hated him against coming into the draft. Is like he wasn't making those
Yeah.
tight window intermediate throws like Michael Penix was. But the second point is like Drew Brees was taught those things, and he was the best at those things, and that was because of Sean Payton. He's going to give him a lot of free windows. The play action is going to give him easy throws on the checkdowns. Yeah, I think a lot is riding with Bo Nix. I'd still, if we're going to talk rookie quarterbacks now, I'd love your rankings actually. If you just want to go 1 through 6, do you want to do who's going to be the best this year, or do you just want to go 1 through 6, my fucking guys?
Um, let's go with our guys because,
Our guys.
I feel like we're not very good at not thinking into the future. So whoever I
Right.
like this year is probably who I'm going to like in 5 years, even if they don't know
Sure.
how to play football in 5 years.
Sure. And Drake May is, he'll probably not start this year. And same with Michael Penix, but we'll factor that in.
Drake May is number 6.
Drake
I'll
May is
start at the
also my
bottom.
number 6.
Drake May is awful. I didn't
Yeah.
like what he did in college. I
Hmm.
didn't understand why. It seems like they're doing the exact same thing that they did with Mac Jones, which was
Yeah.
try and find a wannabe Tom Brady,
Right.
and that just doesn't exist in the world.
He's athletic, and the reason I liked him coming out of college is we've seen this trend in the NFL draft where it's like there's a clear cut number 1 and 2 guy, for like the majority of the draft process. In this case, it was Caleb Williams and Drake May, and then he just gradually kind of fell behind that. And I always look back at like who was going number 1 in October of the NFL season. Like that's just probably going to be the best guy because we knew it at that point. So that's why I liked him coming out. He's probably like my 8 quarterback because I like Joe Milton and I like Spencer Rattler.
I was
So
just gonna say I'd rather have Joe Milton
yeah,
100%
Joe
over Drake
Milton.
May.
Yeah, no, and I don't know, who knows? Like I do like what they did drafting him in the same year. Like put Drake May, he's a family guy. He came into UNC, started as a freshman. He didn't play against good competition. Let's throw him into the fire a bit. Let's see what this kid's got, right? Nothing's given. So I do like what they did there. So 6, Drake May for both of us. Mike, who's your 5?
Um, my 5, I know you're not gonna like it,
Mm,
but is probably Bo Nix.
mm, mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
then the top four in no order, just to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody, would be Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, and who am I leaving out?
Um, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, and why are we blanking on the sixth guy? Wow. We are such amateurs. Why are we blanking on the sixth guy?
Yeah, I mean we'll
Uh,
Joe Milton
oh,
for now because
no, no. This is stupid. Why are we doing this? Because it went Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels,
Drake May.
Drake May, Bo Nix, Penix. Who's the sixth guy? Why are we blanking on this?
I don't know,
It
but
was top 13. Oh, who went to? Oh, JJ McCarthy. Oh, so we don't even. Okay, he's
uh,
six.
I think I put Drake May at 6.
Yeah, I guess he still can. Okay, then I'm doing JJ McCarthy at 5. I definitely have Bo Nix ahead of him. He's injured, and I
Agreed.
I liked Bo Nix more than him anyways.
Completely
Um,
agreed. JJ
and like,
McCarthy seems very average.
yeah. By the way, Mike lives in DC. I live in Denver, so I'm surrounded by Denver. That's so cool that like we both live in a city with like major sports hubs, but we don't like any of their sports, and we tend to be opposites of each other still. It's we kind of get like four experiences.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that we
I'm
don't
cool with
care
it.
about.
Well, let me ask you, like, which DC team, like, do you find yourself, like, easily rooting for the most?
Probably the Capitals.
Okay.
I think it's the easiest because they're the best fan base. They're ride or die. They're die
Side of
hard.
DC, they are the best, you'd say?
Working at the arena too, you see the insane difference between a Caps game that's pretty much sold out no matter
Yeah.
who they're playing, even in a year like last year where they barely made the playoffs, probably didn't deserve to, and
Hmm.
a Wizards game that's getting like maybe 50% capacity, and anything more than that is because they're playing the Lakers or the Warriors.
Right. Yeah.
Like
No,
it's
I was just like, when you said
sad.
that, I did realize, like, Capitals absolutely makes the most sense. The Commanders have had terrible ownership. I think that'll get better, but, like, terrible stadium. It's in Arlington. It's not even in DC.
It's nowhere near DC.
The Nats had the World Series, so I'm sure that was cool for the city, but there's no way that fan base is showing out right now.
Nah.
Yeah, it kind of is Capitals. And I'd say for Denver, it's probably Avs too, mostly because the Flyers have just been terrible
Mm.
out of the Philly teams. But it's a really actually a competition because the Rockies are just awful. Like, and I'm a Phillies fan. We're the best team in baseball, clearly. So like, there's not really a competition there. Don't say a word. And
I'll
yeah,
keep
so
my mouth shut.
I live a few blocks from the stadium, work right next to it, and because they suck, it's great for me. It's $4 tickets. They do $3 beers before first pitch at 6:40. You get off work at 5. You walk straight to the stadium. So there's a lot of pluses to a bad baseball team, right?
Yeah, I
If they're
live right next to the Nats. Like
yeah,
my rooftop looks over Nats Park, which is
it's
pretty
pretty cool.
sick.
It's pretty
And
sick.
same thing, if I want to go to a game, I decide 2 hours beforehand.
Yeah.
I get a $10 ticket on StubHub.
Yep.
They do a promotion with $5 tall boys on
Yeah.
Tuesdays,
It's great.
and it's never full, so you can sit wherever you want and you watch mediocre baseball.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. We have a It's like the rock pile section. So at Coors Field, it's like the very middle, and the outfield, it's like the bleachers, right? So you buy a $4 ticket to those, but then nobody actually goes to them. You sit down at one of the seats wherever you want, really, or you honestly, most people just hang out the like rooftop bar, which is at the top, which
Yep.
is pretty sick. Um, but actually,
Yeah.
like, and with these dumb promotions and their cheap tickets, like they still fill it out on Friday and Saturday nights in the summer. It's pretty cool.
Good for the Rockies.
Yeah, good for the Rockies. So yeah, I'd say Rockies, Avs, Denver. Um, I don't know where I was going else with that point. Well, probably around Bo Nix. Let's finish our top six.
Yeah.
Um, Me and Mike will get better at this, extending our segment in talk times, or not. Maybe that's just kind of our thing, as we talk about the Bo Nix for too long.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Cool. So Bo
Um,
Nix, we're taking JJ McCarthy at 5 together, and then we'll throw. So you're probably putting Bo Nix 4.
I'm gonna go Bo Nix at 4.
I'm having a hard time choosing between Knicks and Penix because I like both. I'm actually going to take Jaden Daniels here. I think he's the fourth best quarterback in this draft. I do see it. I see the electricity and I see the chunk plays and the offense. I just don't want to take him. So just don't yell at me. I just don't. I don't
Fine.
want to. I don't want to. Okay.
You don't have to. Don't get
Okay, I
that
won't.
upset.
Okay, I'm
No
sorry.
need to no need to get out of control here.
Okay. All right.
Um just to defend Jaden Daniels as
Go.
someone who does live in DC but still hates the Redskins. Um I think there's a lot of comparisons to RG3 on the Redskins, which is scary because RG3 did not have a good career because of injury.
They're
I
so
think Jaden
different
Daniels
though.
certainly needs to learn how to slide if he's going to run,
Yeah.
which I think he knows better than RG3. I think he's a freak athlete, and
He
I
is a
think
freak.
he's not as beefy as someone like Jalen Hurts or CJ
Mhm.
Stroud or Dak Prescott, but I think he's a baller. I think he's going to have to not throw picks this year, which is going to be
Mhm.
really hard because that offense is bad and their running backs are bad. I think
Mhm.
Austin Eckler, on a side note, is going to have a terrible year.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
might
Oh
not even be playing by the end of
God.
the year.
That nothing makes me want to throw up more than Austin Eckler on the Commanders.
First overall fantasy pick 2 years ago.
Oh my God. Insane.
2 years ago. Drop
Insane.
off.
No, I
Brian
like your
Robinson's a bum.
yeah, I mean, he got shot, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, but that might have killed his
Well,
career
whoa, whoa, whoa.
too.
Not cool. Like, I don't fuck with people getting shot. But badass, right? Like, but to counter or just talk your Jaden Daniels point, I do like a lot about Jaden Daniels, and like I said, I'm just putting him at 4 because I want to. I just
Fair.
have a gut feeling, but it's cool because he's built like Lamar, and I think a lot of people want to make that comparison. Which like he probably has similar speed, arm strength for sure, but like when he runs and he's doing the read option, he doesn't look like Lamar. He really runs like a downhill runner, kind of like Jalen Hurts does, but in Lamar's body. And
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how that looks. He's not like a twitchy juker, right? He's really good in the open field and he's good at changing direction, but he's not like shifty and really elusive like Lamar. And maybe I can be proven wrong on that, but yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
interested on Jaden Daniels. It'll be he's just a fascinating player.
Yeah, that whole team is going to be interesting to watch.
I was thinking about that last night, and I don't know if I think I saw a video of just like Dan Quinn on the sideline. I'm like, this is such a is there a team that feels more different this season compared to last than the Commanders? Because they just feel like a completely different franchise.
Yeah, good
I
for
mean,
them though.
they kind of
Maybe.
are. Eh. I mean, we'll talk Commanders. Like me and Mike, we really plan on putting our foothold in the NFC East. We've thought of a good segment to do called the State of the East Address, where we go through all the teams. That'll be fun during the season. Commanders will be part of that. And I guess while we're on NFC East, do we want to talk about the Giants? I don't.
No, I really
Okay,
don't.
cool.
I think we finish off this rookie quarterback thing. We don't have
Yeah.
to talk about the Giants till
No.
they're like 0-5 and we can shit on
Mm-mm.
them even more. And
Yeah.
even then there won't be much to talk about.
No.
I want to save time to shit on the Eagles a little bit. So let's
Yeah.
close
All
off
right. All right.
all right, so I had Bo Nix at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Just to close off my 3, I think I'll go Penix, Jaden Daniels, and then Caleb Williams at number 1.
Yeah. That's pretty chalk. Did you just go the draft order there? You might
I
have.
did. I think I actually pretty much followed the draft order
Yeah.
aside from Jake May sucking.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, and the Bo Nix jumped JJ McCarthy. So okay,
yeah,
that's good.
maybe I'm a sheep. Maybe I'm just like the rest of the
Well,
world. Maybe I have no better insight than anyone else.
no, I think you're a curveball, and sometimes you and me take the favorites for 3 weeks straight, and we're just diehard favorites, and then we lose, and we take the underdogs and we lose. So yeah, it's reminiscent of our gambling.
Yeah, it
Um,
makes sense.
yeah. To close out mine, I had Jaden Daniels at 4. I'm gonna go for the sake of him playing sooner rather than later. I'll take Bo Nix at 2. I'm gonna put Penix at 3. I'm really excited to see Michael Penix. I mean, he possibly had the best like singular trait out of the draft class that translates to the NFL, and that's his just intermediate pass window. Like, dude, his 3-step drop and just slinging it to that intermediate route in the corner. I mean, especially with Rome, was awesome, and it just looked like it would translate seamlessly. So I'm
Yeah,
excited for him.
he had the best college football season last year out of any quarterback.
You're still taking Jaden Daniels below Caleb Williams. You still like Caleb Williams a little more.
I do. I don't want to like Caleb Williams. I
Mm,
really don't. I don't like the way that he acts. I don't like the way that it seems like he doesn't care at
yeah.
all. But I have to respect the fact that he shows up on the field and is a baller,
hmm
dominant, elite. I think he's the guy.
yeah. It's he's so awesome. Have you watched Hard Knocks yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so there's one scene, and I think it's like the second episode, and it's just like put yourself in the life of a GM. Ryan Poles, he's like sitting in his office with one of his guys, and they're just like watching the plays from the training camp, and he's just like sitting there, just like starry eyed at his new franchise quarterback, who's like the best coming out of the draft ever, and he just goes like, 18 looks different today. And you could just see the twinkle in his eyes. I'm like, what if, dude? I can't imagine being Ryan Poles, the GM of the Bears, who's made like every perfect move. Maybe they don't work out, maybe they do, but like, man, he's re-energized that fan base. He's secured his job for at least 5 years, and he
At
just gets
least.
to watch this specimen of a quarterback be already probably the best in Bears franchise history. I mean, man, that guy has awesome shoes right now.
It's a good job to have right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, dude. Just like you imagine. I mean, if it was you and me, we'd be in the GM office, just like drinking a beer, being like, "We did that. Like that's our guy." It's got to be a good feeling.
A great feeling.
Yeah.
And a feeling I envy. I hope I get
hmm
that feeling someday.
I think this podcast is going to propel us to be the first co GMs in the National Football League. There's we're just going to display ultimate wit and knowledge of the game to a different degree that people haven't heard before, and it's going to get us jobs.
Yeah, I think people need to hear us because our insight is way more elite than any other insight.
It's and it doesn't even have to be elite. It just has to be different, and we're we're different than most.
I'd say we're thinking outside the box.
That's one way to put it.
We're passionate. You can't question our passion.
Hell no. Passionate bums who can talk. Why not us, Mike?
Why? I mean, is that not every GM in the NFL? Why not us?
Dude, I think we definitely fit the owner stereotype more, or maybe like Big Dom. Um, yeah, you're a Big Dom, Mike. You want to talk about Big Dom for a little bit in the Philadelphia
Sure.
Eagles? All right, let's do it. Philadelphia Eagles.
Um, yeah.
Do you have a question to lead me into my rant?
I guess one question that'll allow you to go many different ways
Get it.
is the ending of last season
hmm
was just a team that crumbled, that fell apart, that had no togetherness, didn't know how to play football, went
Yeah.
from one of the most dominant teams in the NFL to one of the most beatable teams in the NFL in a matter of weeks.
Mm.
Um, what makes this year's team different than what we saw at the end of last season?
Um, we lost our first game against the Niners. Not first game, but like first downfall game, and then it went downhill from there. And it was because Big Dom was off the sidelines. It was all Big Dom. No. But I do think that had a factor, weird enough. Like, that guy's kind of the man for the Eagles. Like, this year they're talking about, like, I forget which player, like, talked about it, but they're like, yeah, like, he's like, actually the guy around here. And he, like, wasn't kidding. Like, he's, like, the CEO. It's crazy. I don't get it. I love Big Dom, but I don't know what he
Seems like
does.
a guy I'd drink a beer with.
Oh, for sure. My dad actually was like in the elevator once with him at an Eagles game, and that was like before he blew up for what happened last year. And he was just like, "Big Dom, he's the man." It's like, yeah, Big Dom. No, the one thing I'll blame last season on in the blow up is the offensive creativity. That's just my number one reason. Um, it was so. I don't know how they won 10 games like they did. I mean, those games were close. Like we should have lost the Commanders twice. It was, they weren't, we were squeezing them out because we had the personnel and a good backbone and, a lot of confidence coming off, should have been Super Bowl win. But then, once those kind of wheels fall off and you have to go into your bag like good teams do and win football games a different way, they didn't have anything else. I mean, it was really, really hard to watch that offense at the end of the year. I mean, that Seahawks game was miserable. The Cardinals game was miserable. Brian Johnson was a terrible coordinator. I still have my questions about Sirianni. I know you do too. But the biggest difference this year is plain and simply the coordinators. They brought in Kellen Moore, who I know you're familiar with. You probably have your views now versus when you did when he was the Cowboys coordinator. But plain and simply, that guy can create an offense. He did it last year. I mean, I saw the route tree they did with like Keenan Allen's routes, and I was like, Devontae Smith. Oh! It was just like I'd see it all. So I'm excited about him. And Vic Fangio's just always been the Eagles guys. Like they were supposed to have him instead of Matt Patricia and their crap defensive scheme last year. So I'm not like a Vic Fangio guy versus not, but Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie like him. I probably like him too. So I'd say that's the biggest difference. We can get into the personnel in a sec, but yeah, it was a tough end of the season last year. It aligned with like personal fucking hardships in my life. So it was I'm ready for football again. I'm ready for a new Eagles season. And honestly, like we've been doing the podcast, this was like our second take of doing it. And when you asked me the first time doing it about like how I felt about last season going into this season, that was the first time I realized what actually happened last season. That was like when I was like, oh fuck, like that was really bad.
Really bad.
It was
I
not
mean,
good.
you just don't really see that out of the great teams, and
Mm,
especially the Eagles of the past few years, even when they weren't playing their best, were able to squeak by and find ways to win. I think that's
yeah.
what the great teams do. I mean, the Cowboys for many years with Jason Garrett did it, where they weren't the most elite, they weren't the best, but
Mm.
they were winning those close games. It's something the great teams have to prove, and the Eagles couldn't figure that out. I
I
mean,
don't even think it was close games. Like the when they started losing, it was blowouts, and they were winning the close games at the beginning of the season. When they lost in the wild card, it was a blowout too. I mean, I hate the Eagles when they're down. For some reason, like this team, I mean, when they won the Super Bowl, they went up every game. We saw some comebacks, and I fully believe Jalen Hurts is like the guy on a game winning drive, game tying drive. I know you have your disputes with that, but so I don't know. I just
no, I'm gonna let you talk here. I'm not really gonna dispute too much. I'm just
okay.
gonna mentally take some notes. Um,
Mm,
I think we've both got some questions to answer with our football teams that
hmm.
can't really be answered till we see them play on the field.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on the coordinators making a
Hmm.
difference, or the cool cornerbacks that you guys drafted,
Yeah,
or
they are
Jalen
really
Hurts
cool.
taking another step.
Yeah,
I'll leave those questions as open-ended. I'm
sure.
excited to see them on the field. Um, and me be right ultimately. I think we should both come with some strong predictions as well as some interesting bets for next week that we
Absolutely.
can then ultimately look back on in a few months and realize how wrong we were.
Yep.
That'll be funny.
Yeah, and we fully plan on documenting them all. We are not going to hide our misery.
No, we're very open about how
Yeah,
sad our sports fandom is.
it's going to be really fun hopping on here after a Sunday. It's something I look forward to, and I don't know if we're going to be in the cycle of your part of my takes and your podcast cycle, but we're going to give you our full effort each time.
Yeah, you're gonna hear 100% of what we think.
Hmm.
Um, just to close up on like us having miserable sports teams
Yeah,
to
yeah.
root for, question that I just thought of. Have you ever debated quitting sports?
Mm, that's such a good question. It's such a good question. And I guess short answer is yeah. I don't think it was because of bad events that have happened in my like sports rooting career though. Like it's always just like a weird month phase I get into where I just am not dialed in and I'm like, do I need it? And then Scott Hansen comes on and everything changes.
Yeah, I'll say I think on the opposite, I think there's been moments in my fandom that have brought me to the breaking point. I
Okay,
mean, I can think of two specific moments, both
please.
coming against the Packers, who, aside from the Eagles and Giants, are easily the team that I hate third most and a lot closer than you would think compared to
Yeah.
the other two. The first is when we lost in the playoffs to them. Had
Can
to
I
be
guess the year?
7 or 8. Yeah,
It was the James Jones, not James Jones. It was the catch on the sideline, right?
Jared
It was
Cook.
that game. You guys were the 1 seed. Man, that was
Yep.
one of my favorite games. I went. That was my first Eagles game in like a while since I was a little kid, and I went to the Cowboys-Eagles last game of the season at the link, and we had our backups in, and I just remember the only thing we could say to Cowboys fans that day because they were like 13-3 was like first round exit, and sure enough, it happened.
Yeah, we battled that game. I think we were losing to
Good game.
start, came back, took the
Hmm.
lead. Aaron Rodgers, 2-minute drill. Jared Cook, what the fuck are you like? Who are
Jared
you? Why
Cook.
are you still playing football?
Hmm.
Um, Toe tap like he's fucking Devontae Adams,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, that was
Mason
awesome.
Crosby nails like a 50+ yard field goal. And I remember with my dad in my living room, I couldn't even watch the kick because I knew it was going in, and I
Hmm.
sat behind the couch on the ground and I just started crying. And I threw the jersey outside, ripped it off, threw it out back, and I was
Oh.
like, I just started screaming. I was like, what's
Mhm.
the point? Why do I do this to myself every year? But then I woke up the next day. I woke up the next day and I was like, I just need a little break. The season's over. I'll be back.
Yeah,
The
Knicks are
second
coming.
time that happened was last season when
Mm.
we just got pummeled by the Packers.
Yeah, that was bad.
I remember um, on the couch, Thomas and our roommate Josh, who's a Ravens fan.
Mm.
Thomas is a Cowboys fan, like myself, but not as diehard. He's much more into he's into
Man.
the Cowboys, but like if he has to do schoolwork on a Sunday, he's going to do schoolwork. Obviously, the playoffs are coming around. I sat down on the couch, had a beer, ready to roll. Things started to take a turn for the worst, and I lit up a joint and I started smoking it. And then I thought maybe if I smoked the joint, it would get better. Didn't. Then I thought maybe if I stood outside, it was raining. I was like, maybe I deserve to feel some pain. Maybe if I smoked this joint while I watched the game through the TV, from outside through the window, that'll get better. Ended up smoking more than one joint that night, and nothing got better. And I was just like, why do I do this to myself?
That's such
And
a good one. That
it
one's
was
great
just
because you're fully an adult at that point, and it's reminiscent of your 2000 high school 1-2. That's great.
the room was silent. Our
Mhm.
landlord, Ravens fan, they had a bye, didn't have to play that week. They had big hopes. Thomas didn't know what to say. I It was 3.5 hours of no noise. Like,
Yeah.
even as the person who hates the Cowboys the most, you could tell how down bad I was that, like,
Mhm.
there was no point in making a joke. It
It
was
was it
terrible.
was pretty somber. That one felt just somber. Like that one, it was like the most obvious thing ever on the planet that was gonna happen. That was gonna happen, but I still feel like Cowboys fans built their confidence all the way up, and it was. I mean, as an Eagles fan, I can't lie to you. That first 7-8 minute drive the Packers had, where they were just gutting it down the middle, I was like, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be good. But
Running it down our throat.
yeah,
Jordan Love made every pass.
yeah,
Dak
he was
throws
awesome.
3 interceptions in the first half. I
Yeah.
mean, just
Yeah,
a
it was
forgettable
everything
night.
I wanted to see as an Eagles fan, and then sure enough, the next day happened when we played the Bucks. So I didn't have much celebrating, but I did have a
Yeah,
day, unlike you, to celebrate. So get fucked. Um,
I'll take that one.
those
I
are
have
those are two
no.
good moments.
The only
Those are
way I can refute you is with a great moment that we had recently, on the topic of baseball
no,
when
no,
we
no.
went
Let's no.
to
Let me
that.
do my moments first. Let me do my moments first. I don't want to get to this yet. We'll end with that. We'll end with that. Can I give a couple moments?
Give your moments
All
before
right.
I give my beautiful,
Okay.
beautiful moment.
Okay, moments of misery. Well, actually, like while you're talking about that, I realized like I think arguing. So just to list our sports: Philly all the way. Mike is Cowboys, and then Knicks, Yankees, and Rangers. However, whatever New York combo you want to call that. And so I'd actually argue like you with those teams have been in like more of like a slump of misery. I would argue I've had like way worse just moments, like games. And let me just name a bunch, okay?
I'd
It all
love to hear him.
started in the 2008 NFC Championship game against the Cardinals. That team, that was like the first Eagles team I like vividly remember watching. I was like 8. And yeah, I'll never forget Larry Fitzgerald that game. I mean, Deshaun Jackson had this one touchdown where he was like bobbling the ball into the end zone for like this super long score, and I just would reenact that all game as a kid. And then I ended up crying at the end. I like remember the last play vividly. It sucked. Um, and then yeah, going on. I mean, I still remember the 2012 NHL playoffs with the Flyers and Blackhawks. That was devastating. I was big hockey back then too. I haven't really gained the fandom since. Um, yeah, more Eagles. I mean, Vic never really had the moments when he was really, really good. It was really 2008. That was like the first heartbreak. Um, Eagles heartbreak. Yeah, I'll skip right to it. I went to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs in Arizona. It was the best day of my life until it was the worst. I and Mike, I love you, man, because you really are a good friend. As much as we despise the Eagles and Cowboys, you were the first one to text me after that game and say, "I'm sorry. I know how you must feel right now." And honestly, that cheered me up so much that day, just to know that like I was at such ground zero, like so much in a hole that even you would text me, "I'm sorry."
At that point, there's no point in just finishing you off. Like
You're a good friend.
similar to my Packers game last season. Like you already know that you're feeling
Yeah.
so shitty. Like
I knew who my true friends were that day. The ones that actually gave me shit. I was like, do you really think like that did anything to me? Like, you're just calling yourself an asshole. Like, your words
yeah,
don't hurt right now, dude.
I'm already in too much pain.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's just nothing you could do. It was actually like 100% the most painful moment of my life. That's what sports can do to you. And I have a history of being an actor. I'm a very emotional guy. I'll wear them all on my sleeve. But it was really cool because it was like a performance, and Chris Stapleton gave the best national anthem I've ever heard, and I got to hear it in person. I cried just like Sirianni did. It was awesome. And I mean, it was like Disneyland as an adult. I really hope you get to go to a Super Bowl one day, especially if it's your team. It's unlike anything ever. It's really the coolest thing you can do in sports. It's incredible. And it all ended with that piece of flag on like the 58th minute of the game, and that's really all it takes to turn your entire day, season, happiness upside down. But other than that, great day.
Yeah, I feel like the fact that you were there, is awesome. Something you'll never forget, even though it's
Hmm.
not such a great memory.
Yeah,
Um, my dad and I have an agreement that the first time the Cowboys make the Super Bowl, we're going.
you have to.
Um,
You have to.
so if that ever happens, we'll be there.
Your dad's cool. My
Um,
dad actually went to that game. He got a ticket with his 3 buddies. And he kind of like was telling me out the season, like, yeah, son, you're gonna go. Like, I wouldn't go without you. He went without me. And I was so mad that I literally bought a ticket for myself, sat by myself in like the second to last row. Um,
wow.
it was so awesome. Like, I actually totally recommend going to a football game by yourself. It's like completely normal.
I was
Um,
gonna say, sports games are one of those things that I wouldn't be nervous to go by
no,
myself. You just like
no.
you make friends so easily.
So easily. So easily. Unless it's like you know, shit fan bases, you're rooting for like the Pac-12, right? Rest in peace. But like, we come from an
Rest in
SEC
peace.
culture where like I vividly remember us walking out of Gator basketball games and chirping Auburn fans. And at the end of the day, it's all love and it's just like the culture. And
It's
yeah, you'll find
beautiful.
it's so great. You'll find that in most sports.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
those are my two big Eagles ones. Like the Sixers probably have the most. Game 7 for the Phillies last year was just against the Diamondbacks was some other type of pain. Um, and Sixers, I don't even want to talk about it. So
Yeah. See, the Sixers are, I feel like, where you resonate the most with me. The one like
yeah,
takeaway that I'm getting from this is like my heartbreak moments are like the first round of the playoffs.
Mhm.
And your heartbreak moments are like the Super Bowl, the
Yeah,
NL Championship
which
Series,
is
like
better.
the Stanley Cup Finals. Like the Yankees have won me one World Series, '09. I'll never
Yep.
forget, against the Phillies actually,
Oh
which was
wow,
awesome.
that's so cool.
Thank you. It was pretty cool. Uh, Otherwise, the Rangers have been in one Stanley Cup. The Knicks just started becoming relevant, and the Cowboys have never made an NFC Championship game. Like,
Crazy.
what I would do to be able to watch the Cowboys in an NFC Championship game is just absurd.
You know what I realized would just be like the worst thing ever if we started this podcast and like this is what the turning point was for the Cowboys. And we got like all of their success on, oh, I'm not gonna even say it. That would be my
Why not us?
nightmare.
Why not us?
Oh my God. I mean, honestly, like I feel really good just because we're starting this podcast about either the Eagles or the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl this year. It has to be one of us. Why not us?
NFC Championship game, the two of us?
I mean, that's what I've wanted like forever. I really thought it was going to happen at one point last year. I was like, the stars are aligned. Eagles, Cowboys,
Yeah.
NFC Championship. I feel like we're going to get it soon, and it's going to be like the highest rated NFL non Super Bowl of all time. We're going to get, it won't be Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. It'll be, oh, we'll get Tom Brady on the Fox slot with whoever the color guy is, right? Or play by play. Tom Brady
It's
announcer.
gonna be great.
I'm kind of excited. I think I just think what Tom Brady's doing right now with his image and just how he portrays himself, like he's doing it perfectly. There's really nothing you can hate about the guy right now.
I think he's just living life. He's enjoying himself.
Good
He's not
dude.
doing anything too controversial.
No,
Like,
no, it's just Tom Brady. You
he's a
know?
weird dude. Definitely
Yeah,
weird.
sure.
But
I feel like all
cool.
successful people are weird.
Yeah.
We're
Did you
so
watch that
successful.
Receivers show on Netflix?
I haven't watched it. Have you?
You should watch it. I've only seen a few episodes, but talk about weird. George Kittle is
Oh,
fucking
I
weird.
just never liked him too. I mean, Georgia
Oh, see, I
guy.
like him. He's like a
You
cool
like him?
beard. He's like a run through a brick wall just like because he had four beers
You
kind of
like the
guy.
Capri, like the okay, but different than Antonio Brown. Weird,
Oh, a lot different. Antonio Brown
okay,
is CTE weird.
dude. I love Antonio Brown.
His
Not,
Twitter, I mean, he says some things on that Twitter.
but I like really fell in love with football, like for good. I'd say like my freshman year of high school, which was just peak Antonio Brown, and he was the best, just the best. I
Yeah,
loved him.
not the biggest, not the strongest, not the fastest, but the best.
Better than everyone. Yeah, perfectly said, Mike. That's good. All right, yeah, we can end off. Last thing I'll say, I mean, we've done a really good job of like pivoting all the way back to our points from 30 minutes ago, but the thing I'm most excited about with the Eagles this season, and I'd love to hear the one thing you're most excited about with the Cowboys, it's number one. It's Jalen Hurts. He's my guy. He has a lot to prove. He looks slim. He's not injured. He's going to be fast. He has just the perfect fit and running back next to him in Saquon Barkley. Just seeing those two in the shotgun lining up to each other with just these broad shoulders that are ready to run downhill, whether it's Saquon, whether it's Jalen Hurts, or whether it's flying that thing out to the two best wide receiver duo in the NFL, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Great O-line still. I expect such big things out of that offense. I mean, if they underperform, it'll be so visible. So, number one, he's my big guy, and I love him to win MVP. I think he's the best quarterback in the NFC. Maybe Caleb Williams will take that, and I'm actually can full-heartedly say that's a possibility. But anyone else, dude, no. Give me Jalen, man. He's the guy. He's my guy. I'm running through a brick wall with him.
Love it.
You do?
Ride or die. I don't
Yeah.
love the take. I
Uh-huh.
love that that's what you're going for. Ultimately, that's what decides a football team is the
Yeah.
quarterback,
It's going to be
unless
great.
you're the 49ers. But
Right. Right.
yeah, to go to my one take, I mean, we'll revisit these takes and I'll shit on this take in about 8 weeks when Jalen Hurts isn't MVP. But my one take is I see something good happening at the end of this season for the Cowboys. I think there's two directions that this team goes in. I think one direction is they perform really, really well. They make the playoffs, they win a few playoff games, and they're one of the best teams in football. Mike McCarthy gets re-signed, Dak Prescott gets a big contract, we pay Micah Parsons. That's awesome. If we don't, and we don't make the playoffs or we lose in the first round again, Dak Prescott's gone, Mike McCarthy's gone. let's fucking get rid of everybody, build around Micah Parsons on the defense, and rewrite the team. This
Hmm.
whole, like, how we've been in the whole Dak Prescott era is just almost good, but not good enough.
So
I
you
think there's
think,
some kind of closure at the end of this
okay.
season.
Yeah, so you think no matter what, you're going to get a new beginning in some way, whether it's they actually win or they actually blow it up and start from scratch.
I would really hope so. I would hate to see another mediocre year where they make the wild card and then lose in the first round, and then we still pay Dak Prescott and re-sign Mike McCarthy. I think I just think the Cowboys fan base would kill Jerry Jones. I think he's trying to do that as long as he can. I think ultimately, if they don't win a playoff game this year, Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy are gone, and then we start a new regime and we bring in an exciting young coach and we draft a guy or we sign for a new quarterback, and we're not stuck in this Dak Prescott era. I think the Dak Prescott era either gets prolonged with winning football games and playoff games, or it's over. And it was a great run. And either
Was
way,
it?
we have something new to root
I don't,
for in the
I don't know
future.
if it was a great run.
Depends
Uh,
what we do this year. Depends what we do
does.
this year.
It does. It's cool because like I don't think Dak's really passed Tony Romo in Cowboys hierarchy yet, has he?
I think he's won more playoff games in less years. Um,
He's only won
but
two. How many did Tony Romo win? Holy shit. Dude,
I live in pain. I
they're
live in
so
pain.
bad in the playoffs, man. It's
So
crazy.
bad.
They're
It's
like they're
unbelievable.
good. They've been good all these
We've
but
had
maybe
some
that's it.
incredible teams.
Like Eagles have gone into the dumps, but then 2 years later they're really good. Maybe the reason the Cowboys can't get over the hump is they're just playing the consistency game. I think it all comes back to just Jerry Jones as a business owner and just how he runs a business. Like he's going to sell tickets, he's going to keep them relevant enough. They're always going to be in the big talks. If you do blow it up, Jerry, you're going to have 2 years where you're not going to be front and center page anymore. Maybe you are in the offseason, but week 10, you're not talked about. And he doesn't want that. So he wants to stay there. And I think that's aligned with how they evaluate players, bring them on, contracts. I mean, it's really awesome as an Eagles fan just to look at your front office compared to mine because I love every move Howie Roseman makes and every move the Cowboys make. I'm like, yeah, they're dumb.
Yeah, I think that's a factor. I think that Jerry Jones has definitely been a blocker between us being successful. But to spin what you were saying in a positive side, we're competitive every single year. We don't have a bad year. We're not losing like the worst year I can think of is when Tony Romo got injured and we had
Hmm.
Kellen Moore playing quarterback, and then
I
we
think that
drafted
was
Dak Prescott.
I think that was when was that Tony Romo getting injured and it was Kellen Moore? I thought it was Dak got injured and it was Kellen Moore.
Yeah, it was Tony
It
Romo
was
and
Tony.
Kellen Moore, and then the next season was Dak
And then the
Prescott.
next season you got Dak. Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember now. Yeah. And he went off in the preseason. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Hmm.
But yeah, I'm ready to either be great or hit the next era.
Yeah.
I'm cool with either one.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I mean, yeah, me, it's a little bit opposite. I think we have like a really nice 3 year runway ahead of us for the Eagles, and then after that, there's a lot of question marks. But I got 3 years. I don't even know if I'll be alive in 3 years. So we'll see. We'll see.
Amen.
You want to talk baseball?
Yeah, let's talk baseball.
All right.
I
Well,
mean,
we'll talk about our baseball trip. Me and Mike, like we said, we live, uh, DC, Denver, but we got to convene in the most greatest city on the planet, Philadelphia, for a weekend a couple weekends ago. It was for the main purpose of going to the first game of the Phillies Yankees series at Citizens Bank Park. We'll get to the result. We'll get to the bets we made together against each other. We'll get to the casino trip before. But yeah, just to touch on kind of what took up the majority of the beginning of that trip, it was the Olympics. We got a lot of Olympics in, and I thought we did a great job watching the Olympics. I thought we were two of the best Olympic watcher athletes that day.
yeah, I mean, if there was a gold medal to give for watching the Olympics and being the biggest supporter of your country, aside from the people who were there in person, I think we get the gold medal like with ease.
Yeah.
Similar to that guy that we watched kayak down that fake
Oh
river and
yeah.
smoked everyone by like 5 seconds.
5 seconds. It was awesome. That guy was a stud. Shout
I
out
mean,
that guy.
I French guy. That's why we bet on
Yeah,
him
yeah,
because
yeah.
French in France. He went last in every round, and everyone was
Mhm.
like pretty fucking close to each other. And then this guy goes and just smokes everybody, and it was awesome. And we bet on him. He was the favorite, but it was still plus money, and it was just
Do you remember his name? I
nah.
got it. I got it. You're gonna be like, oh, of course, because we were saying it like crazy. Nicholas Gueston,
Oh, the
the
Gaston.
guy, dude. Yeah, he was like dominant. Like I felt like we were watching a goat that day. He crushed everyone. It was awesome. We got
I hope more people know about that guy. I hope
yeah.
he's like pretty popular in France. I don't think they had as many gold medals as us, so maybe he was a big
Mhm.
deal, but that guy deserves more recognition.
Dude, just I mean, I've been a big canoe guy ever since the eighth grade, and I've been following
Fuck
Nicholas
off.
Gueston. He's just the man. No, yeah, we had a great day. We just
Yeah.
got in the habit of gambling on whatever we could. I think the ones we got probably most frustrated with was like was the water polo team. I think the U.S. lost to Spain, and
Yeah, the volleyball.
the volleyball USA lost to China, which was just a kick in the throat. That sucked.
The I mean, the Chinese literally built the Great Wall of China in front of the net with these two seven
Yeah,
foot
dude. They
giants,
were crazy.
and they were unreal.
I was
But
really
yeah, our
scared of
two
them.
buddies had work that day on a Monday, so we
Yeah,
sat around hungover and we bet on like 15 different Olympic events while drinking beer, and
it was
that
awesome.
was an awesome day.
Yeah, most
And then the
people.
evening, yeah, go ahead
No,
if
I
you
was
got
gonna
more
say
about
most people
that.
when they visit each other in a city, they're filling it up with a schedule. But you and me did what we did best. We became bums, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
We ate a cheesesteak, we were hungover.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll give credit to Philly on the cheesesteaks. They do that right. I don't like a lot about Philly, but those cheesesteaks are awesome.
really good, really good.
And so to top off that fantastic day,
Mm,
we went to why we were in Philly, the Phillies Yankees game, game one of the series where we've been looking. We booked this maybe 3 months ago, thinking like these are the two best teams in baseball. This series is going to be insane. It was awesome. We went to the Philly Live thing beforehand, drank a bunch of beer,
Xfinity
went into the stadium. Yeah, Xfinity, whatever. Um, had pretty sick seats, like upper level,
seats.
but behind home
Yeah,
plate.
good seats.
I think we put $100 on the Yankees or Phillies, just whoever was going to win.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then,
no, what we did is we chose like seven bets, and then
yes,
whoever won the series won the bet, and you probably won all of them that day.
I think I
That
won
day.
all of them. I think it
Yeah.
was like the pitcher to last longer in the
Right.
game. We picked like three guys, whoever out of the group hit the most home runs.
Hits. Yeah.
All of these things. I mean, anything in the stat sheet that we could have picked, the Yankees would have won. I think they won
It's 14 to
11 to
4.
14 to
Um,
4.
man, I shouldn't have said that.
The Phillies had a what second baseman pitching in the ninth inning?
Yeah, it was bad, man. It was bad. It was not good. I've seen three Phillies games this year, and they've lost every single one of them. Two of them were to the Rockies. One of them was also a blowout to the Rockies when they were like actually the best team in baseball at the time. They were going into the series too. Yeah, that was a bad feeling. Mike got a great photo of. I didn't even realize how
So good.
miserable I look in it. I just thought I was just kind of like focused on something. No, I look really down bad, and Mike has just the
Yeah,
worst smile you'd want to see when you're in a down bad
it's awesome.
moment. It's terrible. It's bad.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous going into that game.
I know you were.
Obviously, Jake being a Phillies fan, you being a Phillies fan, Jenkins not really having any association being from Tampa, but I knew it was going to be majority Philly fans in the stadium. I think I said at one point that day, I said I honestly hope that it's a close game just for the excitement of us being at a game that would be a close game.
Right.
And I would rather it be a close game than the Yankees blow out the Phillies, when in the back of my mind, I'm thinking the most likely blowout is the Phillies blowing out the Yankees. Looking back on it, just for the record, I completely retract that statement, and there was nothing better than the Yankees absolutely destroying the Phillies. Aaron Judge home run in the first inning.
That was so.
Josh Chisholm first home run as a Yankee,
Oh,
and
I
then
hate
second
Josh
home run
Chisholm,
as a
dude.
Yankee.
I hated Josh Chisholm on the Marlins so much, and of course he's on the Yankees, and I had to watch him hit his first home run as a Yankee. It was a slap in the face of a day, dude. I got it handed to me. We went to the casino after I got it handed to me there, and Mike had a smile on his face the entire night. There was nothing I could do about my sorrow, and then there was nothing I could do about his stupid happiness. It was tough.
One at the game, one at the casino, one eating a cheesesteak afterwards. I mean, I was really hungover the next day on the train, and I felt like the
Oh
fucking
my God.
man.
Dude, I took an Uber like 2 hours after we got back to go to bed to the airport. And then I took a direct flight to Denver and walked into work once I got off the train. So I didn't have a nice rest day like you did.
No, and usually I feel like, we've talked about our struggles as fans. I feel like I have more heartbreak than you,
Hmm.
but that was a win. That day was
It
a
was.
big, big, big win.
Yeah, you got a good win that day. I guess I'm happy for my friend, but
I
it
think
was
we'll definitely need a Cowboys-Eagles game as
definitely.
some sort of possible redemption for you.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's like I really hope Cowboys fans and Eagles fans find a home here for this podcast. We'd love to just entertain that debate at any given moment, whether it's us, inviting fans on, giving us some questions and whatnot. It's a learning experience for us. We're gonna grow this thing out as best we can. We have a lot to talk about and a lot more to learn about podcasting and what this is gonna turn into. But I'm really excited. I thought this was a great first episode. We showed the people majority of who we are, and in next week and going forward, I think it'll mostly be a weekly cadence. We might get into bi-weekly with college football and NFL and whatnot, but for the most part, it'll be weekly, and we're recapping the NFL. We're giving our best bets, talking Cowboys, Eagles, checking in on our takes, and making really, really bad bets. And I can't wait. Why not us?
Why not us? I'm excited. This is fun.
This
Even
was.
if we have 10 listeners, this is fun to do.
Hmm.
I hope people think it's as fun as we do.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, moving forward, I think the biggest struggle for us is figuring out how to condense all the things we want to say.
Right.
I mean, if we didn't have any other responsibility in the world and sleep wasn't a thing, I think we could probably talk on here for days
Yeah. No,
without stopping.
I could keep going for a while, but I am hungry. So,
Me too.
cool.
Work in the
Well,
morning.
let's go get
Let's
some food.
all right.
All right. Well, thank you all if you made it all the way through for listening. This was Why Not Us. Mike, why not us?
Why not us?
Any
You
closing
guys will find out
thoughts?
soon.
Any shout outs?
I was talking to Josh before this.
Okay.
I can't wait to have him on the podcast as
Mm,
someone who didn't grow up with sports at all
yeah.
and isn't really a sports guy.
Yeah.
That's gonna be funny as shit.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Maybe Josh could be like our jury for a lot of like the debates we set up, State of the East or whatever it is. He'd have a nice non-biased opinion.
non-biased at all. He could probably care less, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you're his roommate. Like, I totally trust Josh to actually give fair advice. He just seems like that
Yeah,
type of guy.
100%.
Yeah.
Shout out Josh for
Shout
making
out
it into the
Josh.
first podcast.
Uh, who should I shout? I'll shout out Kevin Hawley just because he deserves the shout out. I think it was his birthday 2 days ago, 2 years ago. So shout out OG Hawley, downtown Hawley, Kevin Hawley. Me and Mike,
Happy birthday, Kev.
happy birthday, Kev. We were in the same fraternity together at the University of Florida. We got a lot of dumb friends who you'll hear referenced a ton of times in this show, and it's up to you to do your homework to actually figure out who they are. But we love our boys. We hope they listen. We'll have some of them on, like Mike said, and yeah, we got a cool runway ahead of us, Mike. This was fun.
Till next time.
Till next time, guys. Why not us?
Why not us?
Peace.